And we are on in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody. So it's the Columbia Crew playoffs starting this week. And we've only got two matchups, Graham, because we've got everyone in the console, the losers bracket, as we like to call it. We're all on bye this week, which is fine. We all need a little break from ourselves. And then obviously we've got buys with Matt Jarowski and High Life, who finished in first and second. But we got some good matchups, and you're involved in them, Graham. We got Graham against Craig, and we've got Hammond against Lenny. What do you think, man?
It's a rematch from last week. I mean, this is kind of wild how it plays out. It rematches last week's game. So we looked at them already. We kind of went into it. So we do have some insight because we've already done these games of what happened. So I think it's interesting to how this plays out. Looking forward to it. And then we're gonna cover that first game. We're gonna cover is that HamNCheeze Bidness. And second game will be the Crackback blocks there 3 times fast and Creaton.
Yeah, and last week, if that's any portent of things to come, I mean, these games weren't really close. You won your matchup against Craig by 40 points, and Hammond lost to Lenny by 74.
Yeah, that was ass whooping right there. So, interesting how it all played out, and we'll see how that's the playoffs. I mean, that's what we all talk about. See you in the playoffs, and now we're here.
This is money time.
This is where it comes out. And I will say this to you guys who are on bye. You have a bye this week. This Sunday, take your wife out, take your girlfriend out, take them both out. Have fun with the kids. If you're on a bye, this is the weekend you say, you know what? I don't care about football today, honey. I know it's playoff season, but I really want to spend time with you, baby. That's all about. They don't have to know you have a bye. I have no idea. They don't have to know that. Just be like, you know what? The playoffs have started, but I want to be with my wife and kids, my family, my girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever you're into. Spend time with that loved one.
Yeah.
I
think it's important for them to know that, you could even start off with look, I know the football's on. I've really missed you. It's been a little while now. I feel like we need to connect, and I want to spend a lot of time in conversation,
That's right. Tell me more about that story. I want to hear more.
You could, if you really wanted to go nuts, you could get online. You could look up an arts and crafts fair that's going on somewhere locally and be like, I know this sounds crazy, but I thought it might be fun just to browse some of the pop-up stalls. We could just take your time. We'll just chat. We'll get some coffee, some hot chocolate. That's what my lady would like.
Yeah. And as long as you're home by 8:20, Ravens Jaguars. Like, oh wow, they're playing at night. I didn't know they played football at night.
I didn't even know. This is crazy. Wow. All right. So let's talk about the matchups. Enough about us and our relationship issues. I'd like to get into what I think is maybe the matchup that I think there's the biggest underdog in this round of the playoffs, and that's Hammond versus the Bidness. So if we could open that up and look at it.
Yeah, let's share the screen here. Sharing the screen with all the fancy people who are watching us right now. Let's pull it up. There we go. Sharing the screen. So here's what we got. We've got HamNCheeze, Bidness. Bidness is favored by 12 points. Looking at this, I see a lot of red marks on one side of the screen. Hammond, and look at the bench players there. Make sure we see those. A lot of Q's, O's, IRs, a lot of numbers you don't like to see there. A lot of letters you don't see there. So, you want to jump in first and give your opinion on one side or the other?
Yeah. Before I let you rip Hammond, which I know you're looking forward to doing, I will say this: if his team was completely healthy, I think this would be a battle. If Jefferson was healthy, if he had gotten more than 3 targets with a backup quarterback last week, if Jamar Chase was healthy, if Keenan Allen wasn't out and he had his quarterback, I think in a lot of ways, this Hammond just fell victim in a lot of bad luck to some injuries this year. I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's he's got great players. He's got a great team, but they're just not, they didn't make it the long haul. And I will be shocked. I'll be shocked if he beats Lenny because of it. And just to have Jordan Love, who I know has been surging, but had They lost last week, but Jordan Love as your starter is a little scary because he's had 3 good weeks this year, and you're hoping that that trend continues. So it's too bad. A lot of injuries. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a case of it's a long season and injuries happen, and you've got to, and this is kind of what happens. I do want to say with Hammond giving us some. Oh man, Keenan Allen. I was waiting for all you guys to pass on him. I just knew I would take him. He's always so good. Keenan Allen. All of us were like, bro, hamstring, heel, calf. Something's gonna happen. Keenan Allen wins you week 5, but guess what? That trophy does not come out in week 5. Okay, so this is where injuries happen. You gotta be prepared for it. And I mean, obviously, sucks Joe Burrow. That's just such an unlucky one because that's something like a hand injury, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, like Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones, Joe Burrow, Jefferson, even his defense. He's got T.J. Watt injured, Deontay Johnson questionable, and the problem here, I think, the biggest thing with the Keenan Allen is that Keenan Allen's injured on a Thursday, right? So if Keenan Allen would play a Saturday or a Sunday or Monday, maybe he might play, but that game's tomorrow, so
Right.
that's a challenge for him for sure. And that's what happens in this time of the year is that you have games Saturday that changes your injury time. So yeah, I mean, just a lot of bad luck, and I think one of those things where we've seen this before, where teams get off to a great start and then
Yeah.
injuries catch up to them. And I think that's what happened here.
Yeah, I mean Keenan Allen. I think he put up like I don't remember. I don't have it up right now, but I remember he had an early week where he put up like something crazy, like 50 points or something, like in week 4 or something. I think
Yeah,
it was against Miami.
9 points
Um,
against Minnesota.
yeah,
Minnesota, 20 targets, 18 catches, 215. But no, which is crazy, but no touchdowns, which is kind of funny on that.
yeah, that's wild. That's wild. But if you look at his first month, he was playing great. But the reason that I passed him was because I was like, I think he's old and getting slow, and I'm worried about injuries. I would not have drafted him that early. Now it paid off for Chris all year long, but now he's out the one game that you actually need him because he's your best player, and now he's not there. And so before I move on to Lenny's team and like the strengths of it, I just want to say like I looked at the waiver wire. The waiver wire to me has been rough all year, just as someone whose team has been horrible. And I've been looking at the waiver wire all year. But I've got some ideas for Chris. Like if I were him, and maybe he doesn't want to listen to any of this considering the year I had, but there's a couple options that I would think about on the waiver wire if he needs to replace some receivers. For example, the guy that stands out to me plays for the Jets, and it's Elijah Moore. And the reason that I think that might be something to consider is that Flacco loves him. They played together on the Jets. He's getting more air yards since Flacco's been in, like double the air yards thrown to him. And they're using him the way he needs to be used. And like he's a guy that just because of the situation right now could maybe do something surprising for you. And there's guys like that are out there. And look, it's a long shot. It's a sleeper, of course. But I would maybe rather have someone like that than what he's got in right now who's injured,
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think that Jerry Jeudy might still be available. That's a player who's playing on still available. They're playing Detroit, and Detroit. Look, I might get 50 yards playing wide receiver for Detroit this weekend. I mean, Detroit's
Right.
defense is terrible. So I say that as someone I might even pick him up. We'll see what happens after this podcast. But Jerry, to me, what you said, matchups are really important. I think that Joe Flacco, is again has got a good reputation or good rapport with Elijah Moore. And I think that goes a long way. Where the guy knows, okay, this is the routes this guy runs. I think really helps.
Yeah, it's just like, sometimes you can find a little fire in a special situation that only lasts a week or two, but you can capitalize it and swap it in. So just some thoughts. But yeah, it's not deep out there. It's going to be risky to pick someone up and put him in, especially I mean, like, do you bench Justin Jefferson, who doesn't have a quarterback and only had 3 targets and 2 catches last week? Like, he's finally back. You've waited all year for him to be back. I guess you got to roll with him, or do you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that he's got Deontay Johnson as his flex, so I think that he's questionable too. So I think what I would do is I'd put Jefferson at flex, and I'd put in a receiver who's going to play at my wide receiver 3 spot. I might much rather have
Mhm.
I'd rather have the upside at the flex position instead of because to me I always think what wide receiver 1 and 2 is you're 15, 20, 25 points guaranteed. The flex is if I get 2, well, if I get 30, awesome, right? That's how I look at
Yeah.
this thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is this rookie Quentin Johnston for uh not San Diego, but LA Chargers,
yeah.
is out there, and Keenan Allen's not starting. It's sort of like, I don't know, maybe you just get like a 12 to 15 point like gap fill in with someone like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's slide
So
over to Lenny's side. So Lenny's got just riding with Dak and CeeDee Lamb. And again, this goes into think about HamNCheeze versus the Bidness. They both had quarterback wide receiver duos, right?
right,
Can be great, but it could also be the death of your team. Once Joe Burrow went out, you lose a quarterback and you lose that top receiver. Chase has not played the same. But if you have a guy like Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, who might be the best receiver in football today,
yep,
you're winning games. I mean, I think
yep,
that it's a hit or miss, and I think that's a great for them. They're playing Buffalo, which could be a high scoring game. I mean, like CeeDee Lamb is putting up some points. Dak is running on MVP. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is like 46, 31, 44. Even these bad games, 16, 17. That's his low game the last couple of weeks. I mean, he's really
yeah,
just coming, right? So,
yep,
and then he's got
um,
Ayuk, and Ayuk is playing Arizona, and he's got Ayuk and Kittle both playing Arizona, who Arizona is ranked bottom 3 in pass defense, right? So those are big yards right there. And as we talked about, Garrett Wilson from New Jersey, who's quarterback, and we talked about like pre-recording, he's playing in that like I don't give a crap. Like, is there anything I
yeah,
said this before? Is there anything more dangerous than a quarterback who has nothing to lose? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Wilson, so the quarterback Wilson comes out, he was benched. They
yeah,
started some like horrible scrubs, for a couple weeks in his absence, and they asked him to come back. And there was some weird conversation about maybe he didn't want to start again, and all this stuff was in the news. But I read a report that he said to one of his teammates before he took the field last weekend, you know what? I don't care. I'm just letting it all hang out. I'm not worried. What are they going to do? Bench me again? Like, he didn't care. He went out, and for the first time, he connected with Garrett Wilson in a way they never had before. I mean, 9 catches, 108 yards. Um, and if he can do that again, man, Garrett Wilson's an amazing talent, amazing. And so if they can just connect, man, it's like I just see strengths all across the board for Lenny. Even at running back, I've never been a Montgomery fan, but he's really done what he needed to do in Detroit. He actually gets more love than their rookie half the time. And he's a touchdown scorer, and so I can't hate Montgomery being on the team. And this running back Cook for Buffalo, nice young player, man.
yeah, and Cook is now. I think about this as Cook has gotten these receptions. Look at his receptions throughout like the last
Yeah,
bit. 5, 7, 4, 2, 4. If you look at this, if you look at his games when he's had big games, guess who's not having big games? Gabe Davis. So
yeah,
Cook is actually elevating in the reception area versus like Gabe Davis. So, and this is what happens. Like this, as you get closer to the end of the season, the targets and the carries get distributed to the players the coaches can trust. And so
yep,
you're seeing this whittling down. Like it's early in the season, it's like, hey, you get a pass, you get a pass, everyone gets a pass. But as we get down to these
yeah,
playoff games, like, you know what? We've got to find out, like, we've got to get the guy the ball who we know is going to do something with it. And then the bad teams, they want to find out, okay, like you said, Quentin Johnson, he was a number 1 pick. He's not done much this year. Maybe they want to find out, hey, can this guy play? What can
yep,
you do? We're out of the playoffs. What can you do now? Can you make it
exactly.
work? So
Exactly. They'll air it. I think they're going to try to air it out with Justin Herbert, but I mean, he's going to be the one guy that they're going to need to lean on when they throw. And like when I look at James Cook for Lenny, he's playing Dallas. They've got a great defense. And that to me means that there could be a lot of dump offs, to the running back.
yeah.
So yeah, it's I like Lenny's team. I think he's the clear favorite. I would be like I said, I'll be shocked. I love Hammond's team. It's too bad they're all injured, but that's what
Yeah,
you get when you pick like a 35-year-old player in round 3. You know what I mean?
that's right. That's right.
Top
The,
of round 3.
the smart people pass on him. You know, the smart people that about 4 weeks ago were both sitting in last place.
All right.
So,
So
all right. So prediction time. Prediction time.
yeah.
I have a score. I already even wrote down a score.
Okay.
I'm all about this. So I can go first while you formulate your score.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So here's what I got. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this how they do it in the when they vote people off. HamNCheeze. I like HamNCheeze's team. I like it early. It was great early. Had a
Yeah.
great early run.
A lot of talent.
Lenny's been running on this quarterback receiver duo. At the end of the day, I'm taking Lenny 225 to 165, an 80-point blowout. I'm going even bigger than last week, baby. Bigger than last week. 80-point blowout.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going to go with Lenny too. I agree that he's going to score. I'm going to go a little higher for Lenny. I think he's going to score about 232. Hammond, I think he's in trouble. I'm gonna throw him a bone, and I'm gonna say that he's gonna get just over 200, about 203.
All right. So 29-point difference there. I'm at 80. Our picks are both picking the Bidness to win. HamNCheeze goes out, goes back to the mountains, starts skiing and hiking, and moves on to the 5th place, 6th place part. So, all right.
Hey, Graham, just to put a bow on this game, if Lenny wins, who does he play next?
Lenny will play Steamers.
Okay.
Because that's the 3-6. No, that's the 4-5, and that plays number 1. So he's playing Cleveland Steamers. Again, this is where Herbert's out.
Is Lenny going to end up in the semifinals?
I mean, if Lenny ends up in the semifinals and made a trade to move up in next year's draft, some crafty stuff there, buddy. Crafty stuff.
That would be maybe manager of the year moves.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's
all right.
It's a lot going on there for Lenny. He definitely did one. For a guy
Lenny's the guy that came into our league and won the first 2 years he was ever in our league. So let's not forget. Let's not sleep. He knows what he's doing. He's no dummy.
No. Yeah. Okay. Smart cookie over there.
All right.
We all know anyway.
Let's go to the next one.
All right. So the next one is a rematch of last week. It's Crackback Blot versus Creaton. I'll pull up the screen share here. We can look at this. The Yahoo manager, the Yahoo people, the computers, they favor Creaton 196 to 177. We got nearly 19-point spread there between the two. You want to go first on this? I'll go next, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, I'll go first since you're involved in the matchup. And I think, look, we all know you well enough at this point, Graham. We know who you're going to pick. All right. So there's no secret to who you think is going to win the match. Before we get to that expert analysis, I'll give us some reality here. Okay. First of all, I think this matchup is going to be closer than it was last week. All right. Craig had a good year. He's got a lot of talent on his team. I think Jalen is going to be fired up. I think he's going to play well against Seattle. I think Seattle's a little discouraged. I think they've been lost 3 or 4 straight games. Philly's going to be pissed that they're not at the top of the NFC. I think they're really going to – it's a Monday night national game. I expect big things from Jalen. He did not have a good showing last week. He's going to be a bounce-back game for him. Craig's receivers, especially the first 2, Evans and Pittman, they're sneaky good. Especially Pittman might be his best receiver this year. I looked at kind of his stats. Very consistent 15 to 25-point games like every week. He's a good player. Evans had a down week last week again. I expect the Hall of Fame guy, the first guy to have 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons in a row, to bounce back this week against Green Bay. Devontae Adams, a lot of talent. He also had an average week last week. I think that, his team's struggling a little bit with quarterback. I think they just made an announcement today who they were starting at quarterback. So they're struggling there. And that game's played tomorrow night. Honestly, if I was Craig.
And he's questionable. He's feeling ill. So he's questionable right now. That's tough.
Yeah,
Can these Thursday games are
I
a
know.
challenge? You've got an injured player.
Yeah, I'd keep my eye on that very closely if I was Craig, and I would strongly consider benching Adams because he doesn't have a great quarterback throwing to him right now, and if he's banged up anyway. But and so anyway, my point is Hurts, Evans, Pittman, great, love it. Adams, do something with it. White for Tampa Bay has had an amazing year. He's been under the radar all year, and it looks like Brees Hall's back. And if the quarterback's going to be airing it out again, gives Brees more room to work. Hawkinson's a solid tight end. I don't love him starting in the playoffs, both Mike Evans and a receiver from the same team in his flex. Godwin. It's like Godwin's questionable. Put him on the bench, dude. They're both not going to go off in the winter wonderland of Green Bay. Like, go with your Hall of Famer and put the questionable guy on the bench. And if you got to pick someone up off waivers, do it.
He's got Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is available. Amari Cooper has a ton of upside. I mean, like, not big the last couple of weeks, but like Flacco's throwing that ball. It's different. It's different. I mean, Flacco is born with a cannon.
Yep.
And, yeah, so for sure.
And Amari came back last week. I think he had been a little bit banged up. They weren't sure if he was going to play last week. He got 14 targets.
He also has Saquon on his bench, so he's got some flexibility here. I just think at the end of the day, this lineup what we see here is going to be Brees Hall out, Saquon in, Amari Cooper in, Godwin out. That's what I look at here. Yeah. He also has two safeties on his bench, Fitzpatrick and Budda Baker. So I think he may drop a safety or linebacker, put a safety in, and pick up another player for the run. We'll see what happens there. He's got some stuff going on. He can play with.
Yeah, I mean, he started both Godwin and Evans last week. I just don't want him to see I don't want to see him do the same thing this week. So if he sets his lineup and he kind of focuses on it, I think it's going to be closer. Okay. That being said, your team's kind of hitting at the right time right now. Like, I think we've seen that. How many games have you won in the past, 5 weeks?
Well, it's funny. I've won 5 in a row, but here's my season. Lost 2, won 3, lost 4, won 5. I'm all streaks right now. So my team is hot. It's peaking. I also had a lot of luck looking at my schedule. The teams I played good defense. Teams where I was playing against didn't put up big numbers, so that's part of my win streak there for sure. But and I'll talk about my team a little bit more. I'll let you talk about it first. But
yeah, the only thing I'll say about your team is that you have had a little bit of a horseshoe up your ass in this way. Drake London, you pick up last week. Okay, this guy was on the waiver wires, and there's a good reason for that. They don't throw on his team, and when they do, it does not go well. And yet you pick him up and he scores 35 points at receiver for you. Now, can you expect that to happen again? I say no, because history tells us a story. You say yes. You can explain why. And then, you got Calvin Ridley, who seems like he should be doing better. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's cold. And Metcalf, look, he is playing a weak secondary, but he lost his temper last week. If you get in his head,
3 times this year, he's been. So he's got a bit of a. I think because he just gets hit. He's one of the, it's like when Shaq would play and everyone would just foul Shaq because he was the biggest guy out there.
Yeah.
And any other player, it would have broken.
Sure.
But the Shaq, it was like, okay, you just took a swing at my arm and I'm still here.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say, Graham, in terms of your skill positions, you also had Evan Ingram, Jacksonville against Cleveland, at tight end, scored you 33 points. So I think your guys, you had some explosive, surprisingly explosive guys last week. I don't know if you can count on that again this week. And if you can't count on it and they score normally, if Drake London gives you 16 points and Evan Ingram gives you 11, or even if it's a 15-point game from him, it's going to be a closer matchup.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's, especially considering that like Calvin Ridley and Evan Ingram are playing against the number 2 pass defense in the league.
Yep.
The Ravens. So one of those guys will probably end up sitting. I'm not sure which one. I have a tight end at my flex position, which isn't a high. I've got Likely there, so that might change a little bit. We'll see. I am losing Josh Jacobs, who is questionable, and I think he's out for Thursday. We'll see how that goes. So that could change things. Who goes there? I will say DK Metcalf against the Philly secondary could be big, but I don't expect Drake London to have another game that he had.
Right.
So, but I do
Hey,
have Patrick Mahomes. However,
yeah, I'm going to ask you about that. Is that a good thing in New England?
That's the thing. I have a great quarterback against one of the best defensive minds in football. So it's like, if I would have, so at least I have one of the better quarterbacks going against number one defense. If I had an average person, I'd be in trouble, more trouble than I am. So
can I just tell you something real quick? Since week 8, I'm just gonna shout out Patrick Mahomes' scores for you. Okay.
Oh, I looked at them. You don't have to tell me. I know what they are.
All right. I mean, his receivers are letting him down. 25 points, 37 points, 43 points, 51, 35, and then 40 last week. Like, is Patrick Mahomes the guy that you want starting for you in the playoffs? I'm just throwing it out as a question.
Well, I will say this. It all comes down to options. My other option was CJ Stroud.
Right.
Who I knew I had a feeling I could not go in the playoffs with CJ Stroud. So that's why I made this trade. I was like, I need to have another quarterback in there because I knew that he was playing wonderfully. I didn't expect an injury, but I knew that eventually it would catch up to him, and it has. So thankfully, I made that trade there. The other thing is I guess I'm really backing on the running backs. I'm backing on that. I've got Taylor, Jacobs. I've got Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson. So I've got guys that should get carries. So I'm banking that will be a big play.
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
I will say I do like Isaiah Likely. He seems to be getting more comfortable and more involved each week that he's been there. And so I kind of think that's a sneaky little spot for you. And look, Justin Tucker's back on track. I think a couple weeks ago he looked like he was, kind of an average kicker again. He's missed some this year, but he knocked some long ones last week and the week before, and he looks like he's back. And I don't know, man. I think this is going to be closer than people think. The best thing that could have happened to you, quite frankly, Graham, is that Mahomes lost last week because he was fired up, and he might go off this week. Like that was if they had won that close game, I don't know, but they lost it. They're fighting for playoff position. He's pissed. That might be the best thing that could have happened to you.
Yeah. Yes. But also the thing is, if it's a big lead, like say 28-0, then he's just running the ball the whole time. So that's the other thing that happens. So there's all these quirks that go with it. But I will say this, I will say that as to toot my own horn a little bit, and I do this, I make trades. I look forward to what's going to happen later, and I try to set myself up for a run.
Sure.
I think, the waiver wire is good, but working with another manager who can be like, hey, I want to make some things differently. It's huge, right? And, so we'll see how it plays out. But getting Derrick Henry, getting Patrick Mahomes, those are ways that got me into where I am. So anyway, that's to my own home there. I will say that Craig's team still, he was, 4 weeks ago, he was the most dangerous looking team out there. I still think he has a lot of upside. It's a very scary team. If those questionable marks go away, he could really have a good run. But yeah. So what's your prediction there?
All right. So listen, I love you. Okay. All right. We've spent a lot of time together doing our podcast. But I have a special spot in my heart for Craig because I think I don't know if Craig's ever won the whole thing, right? So I'm kind of pulling him for him this year, and I do think it's going to be a close matchup. I think a lot depends on how Mahomes plays and how Hurts plays. I think both these quarterbacks are angry. They're going to want to play well. Oh man, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be within 10 points, quite frankly. Which is great for you guys and the rest of us because it's going to come down to the wire. I'm going to give Craig the edge, and really, I don't know. Really, I don't know. Let's be honest, but I'm pulling for Craig. I want to see him do well. But it's going to be really close, Graham. As I'm looking at the teams, I think it's going to be close. Oof, it's going to be close, man.
Give me a score. What you got?
Okay. I'll say this is gonna be a lower scoring game than we're all expecting. I'm saying Craig 210, Graham 206.
All right. Well, 4 points.
Oh, so excited about this. All right. So
All right. So here's my analysis is this. I think I'm going to win with a DK Metcalf awesome game, a Mahomes awesome game,
okay.
Derrick Henry awesome game. Those are my three guys. Are going to have
Wow.
great games. They're going to help me win this. And I think Craig is going to have a lot of guys who do well. I think it's going to be close. I got 211 me to 195 Craig. That's my
Yeah,
point.
it could be, man. I think you're going to need some big games. I give the slight edge on receivers to him. I give the slight edge on running backs to him, but I give the edge on potential explosiveness to you. So it's like it could go either way.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Either way.
All right, man. Good stuff, man. Good preview. And so if you win, do you get to play Miller?
Play Miller.
You guys are on the tough side of the gauntlet, I think.
I know. We play that juggernaut team that Miller's put together. Traded away all the draft picks in the world. Pink plate is weighing heavy on his car right now, in his truck. Pink plate, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think we got to say Miller's the favorite, but that doesn't mean he can't be beaten.
No, for sure. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, he's got this. Is what happens? He's got a lot of San Francisco guys on his team. They have a bad week. A couple guys get the flu. I don't know. There's a lot of things going to happen. That's what happens. We got to play the games.
California could slide into the ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun though. Either way. And then next week we got the poo-poo platter in the consolation bracket, and then we're gonna have semifinals. It's gonna be interesting.
We'll do this again next week, and we'll probably not be able to take as much time with each matchup next week since there'll be several all over the place. But it was good to break these down, and I think the Creaton Crackback is going to be close, and then I think Hammond may be fighting for the 6th place spot, or 6th place spot. But anyway, good luck to everybody, and hey, it's full of surprises. That's why you play the game. I'll tell you what, we've just created a monster because if Hammond wins this week, we're never going to hear the freaking end of it.
That's right. Especially if Keenan Allen gets his hamstring all healed up.
Yeah. It carries him to
like Willis Reed, 1973.
I don't want like another nude shot of Hammond with like Keenan Allen somehow, centered in somehow in the photo. But all right, man. See ya. Fun times. Guys, we love you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.